Hey, y'all. Listen, happy Saturday. It's Saturday night. It's trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. Let me fix my clothes here a little bit. Maybe I'll throw my sweater on. But listen, guys, it's trending topics. We got stuff to talk about. It's Saturday night. Listen, I'm glad y'all here spending Saturday night with the diva. Listen, the title is called Sad. You know, let me tell you something. I don't really do the politics much. Every now and then we got to dive into the political conversations. So this mayor of New Orleans, she was indicted. Pretty much they said she was having an affair with her bodyguard and it cost the city $70,000. What part do people not get? Especially when you are at a certain level that you can't be messing around with people on the job. Period. You should have told him if you like them so much, you should have told him, you know what, if we're going to have a relationship, you got to quit this job, go get you another job, and then you and I could do what we do. But I'm not risking my job for a boyfriend. I would have to consider risking my job for a husband, but a boyfriend? You the mayor. Yeah, she didn't care. Well, I bet she care now. They ain't they though? Because they got the other mayor. Well, I forgot what state she's in, where she's from. They saying New York. Matter of fact, I want to say. I think it's New York. They're saying she real estate fraud. Listen, you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. You of all people should know better. We can't do what they do. Come on, don't pee where you eat, period. We can't do what they do. And that's a point blank in the period. When are people going to wake up? Then I got this story. You know, it's sad. It's a teen. I want to say, was it South Carolina? His name is Trey Wright. I just heard about this story when I was looking, through the news today. Set up by his supposed girlfriend, who was in a threesome. I had another boyfriend, and she brings the one boyfriend there to get set up to be taken, his life to be taken by the other boyfriend. First of all, where did a teenager get a pow-pow from? Now a 16-year-old is gone. And why? Over some girl? And the 16-year-old that is being alleged that pulled the trigger, he had got off not too long ago from trying to take somebody else's life. And he got out of that. So I guess he thought he was going to get out of this one too. Well, 9 teenagers are arrested behind this teenage death. It's sad. I don't know what's going on in the world today, but it's just very sad. It's extremely sad. But we're going to talk about it. And then we got the pilot. Listen, I really think, and this is diva personally, this is a diva thought right now, but I really think these airlines need to cut back on the alcohol, because we don't see nothing good with the alcohol when it comes to the people flying, or when it comes to the pilots. He talking about he had a couple beers last night or whatever the case may be. They smelled the alcohol on him. The TSA agents alerted the people saying, listen, the pilot smelled like alcohol. Thank God they told somebody. Imagine him getting on a plane and flying to people. Terrible. And he's saying that the test was not right. He was not drunk. But he got arrested for a DUI. And he was ready to fly to people. Listen, people, it's sad. It's scary. And it's unbelievable. But you know it's a trending topic, so we got to talk about it. Listen, the platform is empty tonight. It was a little impromptu, it's kind of late. Okay, so if you want to come up, you never spoke with the diva, you can hit that link and chat with me. But we still going on with these stories. You know what time it is, right? It's time for me to bring the people on in, even though they ain't here. But I still need a what? I need a shoot. All aboard, everybody. It is Saturday Night Trending Topics, and we got stuff to talk about. The title is called Sad. We got the New Orleans Mayor scandal. We got this Trey Wright, the teenage tragedy. And we got the SouthWest pilot arrested. I'm going to go ahead and start with the New Orleans, with this mayor and this whole scandal. So let me share a screen so we can get into this story. I think this is it. Okay, I think that's it.
Some breaking news, Justin. Our team is in place, and here's what we're following. At this hour in downtown New Orleans, a federal indictment is being read in federal court against New Orleans Mayor Cantrell and her former bodyguard, NOPD officer Jeffrey Vappy. So we're working to get more details. Meg Gatto, John Snell, our legal analyst Joe Responti joining us. So what does this mean when you get an indictment? It basically means a grand jury has seen evidence presented by federal prosecutors, and based on what they saw, they believe a crime has been committed. And this is not the first time we've seen these two high-profile names, guys.
And I think the interesting thing here is that it's mentioning Joe Responti, both the mayor and Jeffrey Vappy, which I don't want to get ahead of what we know, but that raises the possibility of perhaps a superseding indictment since he had already been indicted.
Right. If Jeffrey Vappy is getting new counts against him, it is most probably what's known as a superseding indictment, which will follow his original indictment to that section of court. And if she is a co-defendant with him, it's all going in the same car.
So for background, and not to make this too confusing, this is the case in which he had been working or claiming time as the mayor's bodyguard when in fact federal prosecutors were alleging that he had a personal relationship with the mayor. It was noteworthy at the time that the mayor had not been indicted in that case. This could imply that now she has been added in somehow and into that alleged conspiracy.
Right. We'll see which format, if any, they use, whether or not she's going to be named, if she is named, if there are other defendants possibly named with her and Vappy. So let's just wait and see what the indictment says.
Well, I was going to say, Joe, I think it's important to point out we do not know the specifics yet of what is in this federal indictment. Just to kind of explain how this all works, a federal grand jury made up of about 16 to 23 people from the 13 parishes surrounding Lake Pontchartrain. They have been meeting for months, going over evidence in this case. They took a vote today and they decided to return this federal indictment. What happens then is the grand jurors, they actually leave the courtroom and the foreperson goes with federal prosecutors to the magistrate judge. That is what is happening right now as we speak. And we are learning that this indictment has been handed up. A little bit later is when we will get a copy of the indictment to find out what exactly is in there. What are the charges? It'll lay out some of the details of this case. What are some of the charges that the mayor and Vappy, who was already indicted in July of last year, but again named today in this indictment, what some of the charges are that they face?
And in a case like this, you're probably wondering, well, what comes next? As Meg just laid out, it's called a bill of information, and that's what we're waiting to get all these details from to find out.
No, not necessarily. A bill of information sometimes would imply in the federal system that there's a guilty plea. So this would just be a regular indictment.
This is an indictment.
So there's no indictment, right?
The grand jury generates an indictment. The U.S. attorney generates a bill of information. This is an indictment, a bill of indictment, because it came from the grand jury.
But I think, to Liz's point, Joe, it's important out of fairness here to mention that the standard is a lot different when it comes to an indictment or a charge than it is for a jury. So here you have one of the things the judge asked was, were there 16 grand jurors present? Did at least 12 vote for the indictment? Walk us through, if you could, the difference, the standard between, yes, there's enough evidence here to bring charges, and later at trial, the burden that prosecutors will face.
Well, that's right. I mean, and there's different things, and in state versus federal, you have different things. We have a preliminary hearing in both of these, which is a probable cause hearing. There are lesser standards at this time. If and when this goes to a jury trial, they have to meet the highest standard, which is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt of every element of the crime that she would be convicted of, he or she was convicted of.
Because this is a one-sided, this is just the prosecutors presenting their evidence to the grand jury members. The people who this is about, in this case, the mayor and Jeffrey Vappy, do not have a chance to present their side of the story.
Absolutely not. That's correct. That is correct. What happens is the prosecutor goes in there, the old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich. You've heard that. That's because they're just pitching their side of it.
And this is video, by the way, of the prosecution team as they arrived this morning at federal court to present the case.
Jordan Ginsburg, Nick Moses, and others to go present the case to the grand jury. Now, understand, they have probably been presenting evidence and witnesses for some time to this grand jury, and today was the day. They're just wrapping things up to say, this is what we're going to present, get the signatures, and go in front of the federal magistrate.
Why do you suppose it took so long? I mean, we've been dealing with this, for justice kind of moves a little slowly, but we've been dealing with this story now for the better part of 2 years.
People have been asking me that question all the time, as if I know. There's a big piece of this puzzle that is missing, is all I'm going to say, because it would appear back when Vappy and Mr. Farrell were initially indicted on their separate things, they had language in it which I call a speaking indictment, which clearly implicated the mayor, clearly implicated her in a quid pro quo, and you don't do the quid without the quo. And so now we're finally getting the second shoe dropping. Why it took so long, I do not know.
Well, there have certainly been a lot of allegations against the mayor in recent years. And again, to point out, we do not know the specifics of what is in this federal indictment at this.
Share screen again. Hold on one second. I just don't understand when people do this. New Orleans Mayor indicted on corruption charges connected to alleged intimate relationship with bodyguard. The mayor of New Orleans has been indicted on charges of fraud and obstruction of justice after prosecutors claim she and a bodyguard attempted to hide an intimate relationship as the pair used public funds while engaged in personal activities. Mayor LaToya Cantrell, 53, and Jeffrey Vappy, 52, were charged in a superseding indictment of 18 total counts, according to an August 15th announcement from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Louisiana. Cantrell, the city's first female mayor, who was elected in 2017 and re-elected in 2021, is accused of having embarked on a scheme to defraud the city of New Orleans and its police department alongside Vappy, a former New Orleans Police Department officer and a member of her executive protection team, as he spent personal time with her while claiming to be on duty, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The indictment also alleges that the pair coordinated to spend time together at a city-owned apartment while Vappy was supposed to be on duty, arranged 14 domestic and international trips to maximize their time together, and were aware their conduct broke criminal laws, while the city of New Orleans allegedly paid over $70,000 for travel on such trips. I'm not even going to try to be funny here. $70,000 is nothing. It's like petty cash. But I mean, you breaking the law, so you break the law. Why couldn't they just do their thing on the weekend with their own money? This is just the stupidity of people. Vappy was already facing charges of making false statements and wire fraud, according to the Associated Press. The indictment has since added the mayor to the case, as she has been charged in 6 of the wire fraud counts, as well as 1 count of obstruction of justice and 2 counts of making a false declaration before a grand jury. The city and mayor's office did not immediately respond to people's request for a comment on Saturday, August 16. Cantrell has not shared a public statement on the matter. A city spokesperson told the Associated Press that it was aware of the indictment. Until the mayor's attorney review is complete, the city will not comment further on this matter, the statement read. City Councilman John Paul Moreau's spokesperson told Fox News that it's a very sad day for the people of New Orleans. He added that thoughts and prayers are with Cantrell and family as they navigate through this difficult time. The mayor's current term ends on January 12th, 2026. Hopefully they will let her continue her term and play it out. Tara, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for the super chat. Savannah, your thoughts?
Oh, Diva, this is so frustrating. When can New Orleans get a break? I don't understand why these people who get in power do some of the dumbest, most foolish, most asinine things that they have over 15,000, they being the federal agents that were investigating this, over 15,000 texts, videos, WhatsApp, it's of them doing covering their tracks, and maybe they were doing that because they were both married at the time. So that's why they were trying to cover their tracks as much as they did, because and then I hate these stories that they always they talk about the woman, but where's the man? Because there's two parties in here who were who had chose to do some dumb decisions and abuse their power in their position, because he was the executive of security or something, and she was taking trips on taxpayers' dime to go meet him. He was taking trips and to go meet her. Then they were submitting false timesheets when he wasn't on duty. And I mean, this thing is messy, messy, messy. And this is why 47 acts the way that he acts and believes he has the power that he does. You have Mayor of DC who decided to go to Martha's Vineyard on Thursday because this trip was planned weeks ago and she doesn't want to disappoint her daughter. Meanwhile, her city residents are being harassed and arrested, and the city's under chaos, but she decided to go to Martha's Vineyard before her daughter goes to school. It is just disheartening when women, especially minority women, get in positions of power and display this type of behavior. It's still not on the level of Mayor Tiffany, though. Mayor Tiffany's on a whole nother show by herself.
Yes, she is. Yes,
but when you get people like this mayor and the mayor of DC, I can see why there is so much distrust in government, whether it's local or state or federal. The people don't trust the ones that are in power, that they're supposed to have their best interests at heart, because they're out here lining their pockets, covering their mess, using our money that we pay taxes on.
Right.
And this has been going on for years. This isn't, I believe they said since like 2021. This isn't something new. This has been going on for years. And this guy was they labeled him as a faithful husband and a father that came from a good family. That's how they're identifying him in the stories that I've read. But her, she's being villainized and called all types of stuff. So I hate stories. Yes, it's extremely sad. His picture should be posted everywhere, just like hers is.
That part. But you know what, though? She was a fool to get herself in this mess.
Absolutely.
You're the mayor. She was a fool to get herself in this mess. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. And they said too much is given, much is required. So, although they're doing her dirty, she should have known better, and you got to protect your own title and everything you worked hard for. So, shame on her for allowing herself to fall into this trap in this mess. But you are right. They barely, you know, showing his face and his name, and he's a good this and he's a good that. It's just messy. It's just extremely messy. But
Absolutely.
I don't understand
Because
how
her husband died. Her husband died while they were in this affair.
Oh, was he sick?
I believe so. I gotta pull the article. I believe he was sick, but I know that he passed away while this affair was going on, in the beginning of this affair.
Oh, so ain't that lovely?
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable is all I could say. Unbelievable. Woo. All right. Thanks for that extra information, Savannah. Let me go ahead and let's roll into the next story. This next story is very sad. It's the teenager who's 16 who was set up, they said, to be unalived. Increased Matter said they off to her husband. I think probably maybe he was sick. It sure isn't worth it. I just don't get it. And I just really don't understand cheating. Instead of cheating, just tell your spouse, I'm done. And move on. And then with this, why, like, she had to be making good money and he had to be making good money. But it's American greed when you want to sit there and use the taxpayer dollars and lie on paperwork. It's just disgusting. It really is.
According to the obituaries, he passed away from a heart. I hope he didn't find out.
He had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack. He did have some health issues, but what the cause of death is a heart attack.
Yeah, he probably was. The wife was cheating. It probably got to him. It's sad. It's very sad. Well, she's about to pay the price, honey. We're going to stay connected to this story and see what goes on. Let me roll into the next story. Let me share screen. What we'll do this teenager story. Let's do this. I think this is the one I want to show.
Investigation into the murder of 16-year-old Trey Wright. The Florence County Sheriff's Office said it's arrested 9 people so far. 2 posted bond earlier this afternoon. News 13 Shelby Martin is live in the newsroom. And Shelby, what can you tell us about these arrests?
Well, Edward, behind bars and without bond, Devan Raper was the first arrested for the murder of 16-year-old Trey Wright after he was accused of shooting and killing the teen. On Tuesday, police charged 17-year-old Sydney Kearns, 18-year-old Hunter Kendall, and 18-year-old Corinne Belviso with murder. Belviso and Kearns posted bond today. Gianna Kistenmacher, Trey's girlfriend, was the second person arrested. She's accused of leading Raper to Wright the night he died. The former cheerleader was released to home detention and cannot use the internet. We're told Belviso was also a member of Kistenmacher's cheerleading team. A close friend of Trey's told News 13 Belviso, Kearns, and Kendall were bystanders to the murder. Major Mike Nunn with the Florence County Sheriff's Office said the 9 people arrested in connection with Trey's death are all between the ages of 17 and 19 years old.
They were complicit in bringing the armed co-defendant Raper to the incident location, knowing that there would be a confrontation, and they knew that Raper had presented a firearm to the victim and made threats to shoot him, according to the arrest warrants.
Nunn said 1 more person is expected to turn themselves in within the next few days. Now, according to officials, the decision to charge most of those defendants with murder was not taken lightly.
So the decision was made, again, with investigators in consultation with the solicitor's office, to charge each of them with murder, the hand of one being the hand of all, as part of South Carolina law as well. So that's the basis of the charge for each of those individuals.
Nunn told News 13 there is video evidence from the night of Trey's murder. Now, we've asked for the video, but we were not able to get it. Raper's next court appearance is set for August 19th. Live in the newsroom, Shelby Martin, News 13.
So sad. Let me just play a little bit of this. Kids are too evil these days. You ain't never lied. It's very sad. Let me play a little bit of this Law and Order. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's like 24 minutes. But let's just listen to a little bit of this.
Allegedly over a girl. Right now, we know the names of 5 people who are facing charges in this story. And when we were researching the newest names to be added to the list of suspects in this case, we were shocked with what one of the teens now charged with murder had apparently posted on her social media not too long ago. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. I have an update for you today on a story that we have been following out of South Carolina. It is a story of a group of young people who allegedly, according to police, came together to lure a fellow teenager to a place where he would be murdered. And all of this was allegedly over something that I think we can all agree in the grand scheme of life does not really matter, and that is teenage romance. This story has become even bigger since our first episode on this case, which was back in June. And it involves the man you see here, Trey Wright. He was just 16 years old. On June 24th, police say they found him with multiple gunshot wounds around 11:30 p.m. along a country road in South Carolina. Before I get to the new suspects in this case and what one of them allegedly posted on Facebook, let's get you caught up to speed on how we got to this point. This is Devan Raper. He is the man who police say fired the bullets that killed Trey Wright. Raper appeared to try to put on this bad boy persona on social media. He has a TikTok that's still public, and you can see some of the pictures like this one here, where he's flipping the bird at the camera, and he has the caption, "I wish we never met. I wish you would have stopped giving me missed signals, but can you stop? Because I'm trying to get to know your friend right now." Now, Trey, it appears, knew his alleged killer. They both followed each other on TikTok, but they were not friends. According to police, they were reportedly at odds over a girl at the time of Trey's murder. Now, it's unclear if this is the girl that they were fighting over. Her name is Gianna Kirstenmacher, and she was reportedly Trey Wright's girlfriend. The 17-year-old is charged with orchestrating his murder. The Florence County Sheriff's Office says that Kirstenmacher knew that there was a rivalry between Trey Wright and Devan Raper, and deputies say that she drove Raper to meet Wright on the night of his murder, quote, knowing that Raper was armed and that there would be a confrontation for violence likely to lead to death based on statements made in her presence. Now, she was initially facing a charge of accessory before the fact, and she was denied bond at that time, but her charges have been upgraded. She is now facing a charge of murder in connection to the death of Trey Wright, yet she's now out of jail. She was released on bond under strict conditions. Now, Raper is being held without bond. He is the one who allegedly fired the shots in this case. At his first court appearance, he tried to argue for himself in front of the judge. This is how it went down. This video per WBTW.
I did not do none of this. There was 4 more people.
I'm not here to try.
I understand that.
I'm not here to try your case, but you can speak to law enforcement and you can also talk.
Before I get to the new suspects in this case, it's important to know that Raper was known to the criminal justice system. He was arrested in August of last year on a charge of being an accessory after the fact to felony or murder, and he was released from jail in November, and then the charges were dismissed in February of this year, according to WBTW. Now, you heard Raper in that court video claiming that other people were involved in what happened, saying that there were 4 more people that were in the vehicle with him. Now, it's unclear who he specifically is talking about, but this week, police arrested 3 more teenagers. Here are their mugshots. Their names, Corinne Belviso, Hunter Kendall, and Sydney Kearns. All 3 are now facing charges of murder. Now, it appears Belviso and Kirstenmacher were members of the same cheerleading team at a high school in Myrtle Beach. Arrest warrants that we received from the Florence County Sheriff's Office show that these new teenagers to be added to the list of suspects are accused of bringing Raper to the scene, knowing that he was armed and knowing there would be a violent confrontation. And Trey Wright was apparently no stranger to these new suspects. And what one of the new suspects posted on social media about Trey Wright really shocked us. Here it is. We found the social media of Corinne Belviso, now facing a charge of murder. On June 25th, which is the day after Trey Wright was killed, this is what she posted on her Facebook page. It is a link to the GoFundMe page for Trey Wright saying, quote, they've made a GoFundMe to help Trey's family. If you're able to donate, anything will help. Trey was one of my friends. We're heartbroken. To know him was to love him. LLT. That stands for Long Live Trey. That has become a battle cry for people who are remembering him, honoring him, and calling for justice after his death. Before I get back to this episode of On the Case, I need to take a moment and talk about our...
Let me just pause it right there because that thing is really pretty lengthy. But I just wanted to show some of it. And let me go. It's just this case is very sad. So victim's girlfriend among 9 South Carolina teens arrested in the 16-year-old's unaliving alleged setup. So 9 South Carolina teens were arrested in the June pow-powing death of a 16-year-old who authorities say was involved in an argument over a girl with his alleged shooter, according to the local reports. The victim's 17-year-old girlfriend is among the suspects. Florence County Sheriff's deputies found Trey Wright of Johnsonville dead on First Neck Road with multiple pow-pow wounds on June 24th. Authorities said previously he was found about 45 miles west of Myrtle Beach. The following day, they arrested Devan Scott Raper, a 19-year-old from Conway, who allegedly fatally shot Wright after an argument. At least one teen involved reportedly recorded the slaying on video, and deputies continue to announce new arrests for weeks as the investigation dug deeper. All this court hearing and bond court and stuff is driving me crazy, Wright's mother said. Ashley Lindsay told Fox News Digital, I don't even have time to sit down and think half the time, on top of losing my precious baby. Now an entire group of teens, many of them juveniles, are facing charges, some allegedly setting Wright up and bringing rapists to the victim's location, knowing he was armed, according to authorities. That is all mugshots of the ones that have been arrested thus far. One of the suspects was Wright's girlfriend, Gianna, a Myrtle Beach 17-year-old, his mother said. Gianna was charged with being an accessory before the fact for allegedly bringing Raper to the crime scene, knowing he was both armed and likely to unalive her boyfriend, according to press release from the sheriff's office. A spokesperson for the sheriff's office did not immediately return a call seeking comment from Fox News Digital on Wednesday. Prosecutors confirmed that 9 teens have been charged, but declined to comment further, citing the ongoing investigation. They were complicit in bringing the armed co-defendant Raper to the incident location and knowing that there would be a confrontation. Michael Nunn of the Florence County Sheriff's Office told the News, which is based in Florence. They knew that he had presented a firearm to the victim and made threats to shoot him, according to the arrest warrants. He told the Post and Courier separately that under state law, all 5 are charged as adults. Prosecutors filed additional murder charges against 3 more Myrtle Beach area teens identified as 18-year-old Hunter Kendall and Corinne Blizzo and 17-year-old Sydney Kearns, according to the News. The hand of one being the hand of all is part of South Carolina law as well. So that's the basis of the charge for those individuals, Nunn told the station. Sheriff T.J. Joy told the station separately that the fatal pow-powing appeared to have stemmed from an argument in apparent romantic rivalry. Trey Wright's family, they do have a GoFundMe. I guess they're trying to raise money, to bury him and probably other expenses. They had issues with each other, and it was over a female, he reportedly said. The sad thing is, you got a 16-year-old that lost his life. You got a 19-year-old who's going to go to jail for the rest of his life over what? Raper faces charges of unaliving and possession of a weapon during a violent crime and is being held without bond. Kendall is also being held without bond. The two girls each posted $20,000 bonds last week and have been released pending a trial. This is super, super sad. Savannah, your thoughts?
It is sad, Diva, but I do have a few issues with this story. First of all, it's apparent that we have a community here that must not have resources, because we have 9, 10, 11 young adults, teenagers that don't have jobs or shouldn't, that are out on the streets getting into all sorts of trouble when they should either be working or at home. So I have an issue with that. Apparently this community must not have that many opportunities. Second, the media classified the victim as a man, and I thought you weren't legally an adult until 18. So I would like them to identify the ones that are adults over the age of 18 should be identified as an adult and charged as an adult. And then the ones that under 18, my understanding, they're still children. You're still legally under the guide and care of an adult parent or caretaker. So this 16-year-old, the victim, he was still a child, a teen, nonetheless, but still a child. So there should be other charges brought into that besides what they did. I am in agreement that all of them should go down, and the person that did it, the main character here, this bad persona that he puts on, that they put on the social medias and Instagrams and TikToks and all that. Don't act punk puss when you get in front of a judge. You want to snitch everybody out, claim you didn't do it when there's all these witnesses and everyone's singing now. There ain't no loyalty and now everybody's telling and covering their tales. My heart breaks for the family because of the victim, because the people that he thought, especially the girlfriend, because I think she plays a big part in this. I really, really do. She was that siren, that vixen that lured him in, knowing that this other person was dangerous and had objects on him, and probably was talking punk, all big and bad about doing something. And then it just so happened in this, and not just once, because they said that he had multiple wounds. So these kids don't know how to, throw their book bags down and raise their fists and have a fight. But the first thing they go to is trying to unalive one another. So my heart breaks for them. I think this whole community is going to go through something, and I don't see all 9 of them going to jail. I think a few of them are going to get a deal and turn in as much evidence to cover their tail.
Yeah, it's very sad. Let me make sure I didn't click out of it. I'm just going to show a little bit more. Hold on one second. Okay. Tara, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Let me see. Much love. Thank you so much. All right, let me just share screen again. Let's just hear a little bit more.
Our partner and sponsors at Morgan & Morgan. This is a law firm. Scan the QR code on your screen. in this case, they have been released from jail. They were granted $20,000 bonds. Hunter Kendall was denied bond, and he is still in jail at the time of this recording. According to WPDE in South Carolina, 4 other suspects have been arrested and charged with murder in the death of Trey Wright, which brings the number at the time of this recording to 9 people who have been charged in connection to Trey Wright's death. We have reached out to the Florence County Sheriff for the names of these new suspects and information on their arrests. At the time of this recording, they have not gotten back to us. Joining us now from South Carolina to talk about this case is Tyler Bailey, civil rights and criminal defense attorney. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. What do you make? I mean, 9 suspects in this case, all charged with murder in the death of Trey Wright. What stands out to you in just how law enforcement is going about this investigation?
Well, first, just on a human level, it's a tragedy, especially when you have young people involved in gun violence and loss of life like this. And the first thing that went to my head was that this is kind of an unprecedented way to use the hands of one, hands of all jurisprudence, which is something that's used often in South Carolina involving gun crimes or possession of drugs, but I haven't seen it much with murder, especially when you have 9 young people. And it also appears to be a way for the local government and sheriff's office to probably combat youth violence, looking at a way to send a message that, young people and kids, teenagers, school starting back, don't assist people who have firearms and are about to engage in altercation, because you have 9 kids or young adults, some teenagers, some 18 or older, who actually helped the accused get to the victim, and the victim tragically lost his life. So it's really unprecedented on those fronts. And then the bail also seems to be low because these are serious allegations the kids or young people, let me rephrase that, are charged with, but the bond does not seem indicative of the seriousness of the crime, which leads me to believe that this could be a way or a tool to get them all involved in the case by law enforcement, and then possibly work out deals south from there.
Yeah, because it's from what we know, several of the suspects have been released on $20,000 bonds. The man, Devan Raper, who is accused of firing the shots, he is still being held without bond. What will prosecutors have to prove in these cases of the associates of the person they say fired the shots? What will they need to prove if they were to take these to trial?
They'll need to prove that the associates knew that the accused was going to the location with the intent to commit murder of somebody. And they're using the fact that they assisted him. They knew that he had a weapon, and they knew he was going to the altercation, but they're going to need to prove there was intent on the front of the associates that this was going to occur, which is tough. Providing assistance, accessory before the fact of the crime is easier to prove than it is actually that they all participated in the murder with the intent, knowing that the accused was going to go there. He was going to commit a murder by shooting the victim who tragically lost his life. And that's a steep hurdle for the prosecution to make here.
Because Gianna Kirstenmacher, who is reportedly the girlfriend of the victim, and she was the first co-suspect with Devan Raper, who was arrested, and it was believed that she was the one, according to law enforcement, who orchestrated this, knowing that the two of them were at odds, that Devan Raper was armed, and that she was bringing Devan Raper to meet Trey Wright, and then it ends in sadly, Trey Wright's death. And originally she was charged with accessory before the fact, and now she is facing a charge of murder. What is the difference between the two?
Accessory before the fact means that they provided assistance to the defendant or the accused here to further his ability to commit the crime. Accessory after the fact is when they provide assistance afterwards with knowledge. But accessory before the fact means that she knew that he was going to go there, and he wanted to, use his firearm to engage in murder, attempted murder, or something like that, and she helped him do it by orchestrating the whole thing. Murder, which is a lot of a steeper hurdle, means that she went there and actually helped him commit the murder. It's a little difference. It's a legal distinction. I think that the sheriff, in the interview that I saw, he said that he was very methodical in speaking with the solicitor's office and investigators before upping the charges to murder for her as well. Accessory before the fact, to me, seems easier. And it also is something that this case could be pled down to, maybe, if they dismiss the murder charges later.
Because you think of some of the other people involved, and we don't know. We have arrest warrants that kind of say the same thing as Gianna Kirstenmacher's arrest warrant, where it was they knew, according to this, that Devan Raper had a gun and he was going to go to Trey Wright, and they knew that there was going to be an altercation that was going to lead to his death. And then there's also reportedly video of what happened, which that hasn't been released to the public as of yet. But in the case of Devan Raper, and he's accused of being the person who fires the shots, how much do the other cases, the 8 other people, does their case kind of hinge on Devan Raper? Because let's just say if he was able to be found not guilty in this for whatever reason, how does that impact then the other people who have been charged with murder if they're not the ones who are accused of firing the shots?
It'll be nearly impossible to charge the others with murder if the accused is acquitted at trial, or if this case is dismissed. I mean, the evidence seems to be pretty strong that, he fired a gun and he killed the victim here, but the other ones are being charged for what we can see based off the warrants right now for providing the assistance and helping orchestrate the murder. If he's acquitted, then there's no way that his associates or his friends or whatever you want to call them, who are also charged with murder, could be charged, because the main culprit, the shooter, would be found not guilty, acquitted, or have the charges dismissed.
At the beginning, you said kind of I forget what particular the phrase was, but when as someone who knows the law in South Carolina, how does this, and I know in a lot of ways this is unprecedented, but what are some of the similar situations you've seen where it has been a case like this has been prosecuted in the way that the Florence County prosecutors and the sheriff's office seem to be going about it?
Hands of one, hands of all typically goes like this. You'll have somebody, let's say, driving a car and there's marijuana in the car. The officers pull over the driver of the vehicle, and everybody in the car is charged with possession with marijuana with the intent to distribute or trafficking marijuana. It can also be used with gun possession, where there's a gun in the vehicle and somebody is not authorized to be carrying the gun in the vehicle, and everybody's charged with being in possession of the firearm. This is different. This right here is a murder that's committed, and they're saying the hands of the one shooter who committed the murder is sufficient to be the hands of all of his associates who helped orchestrate the murder. That's why it seems to be unprecedented, where this appears to be more of a case of providing assistance before committing the crime for the actual accused to commit the murder, who's the shooter, versus all of them being there. We don't know what all the evidence they have. It could be text messages. We could see the video. We don't know how they all assisted in committing the murder. I do think that law enforcement probably would not want to overcharge in a situation where they risk the chances of an acquittal, not being able to prosecute all of these individuals, and there's still more who could be charged. So there must have been some strong things that we, as members of the public, do not know about. And I do think I think the sheriff is looking at the public policy here and trying to curb this type of youth violence, whether it's social media, text messages, different communications, and getting or luring somebody to a place where a violent crime occurs by charging everybody with the severe charge of murder here versus something a little lighter, like accessory before the fact.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna stop there. We will stay connected to this case. Very sad. I just can't imagine a bunch of teenagers getting together thinking it's okay to gang up on another teenager, and now this kid lost his life. And like they said in the beginning, for what? Over a girl? You can have her.
Right. And they all knew the violent tendencies of the
other one.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see, I that's why I agreed with all of them being charged, because they knew of the person that did it, of his wanting to
harm the other kid. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you come with a pow, you're not coming to talk.
Right.
Exactly. And then his body was riddled with it. It wasn't like just one, and
it was an accident, went off. Exactly. That was of intent. I'm just trying to be very careful with my words.
Yep. So am I. But yeah, you wanted him gone because you just let loose. And the fact that he got away with, you know, a case prior to that, this kid wasn't going to stop. He's not going to stop. And because when how you going to go in the courtroom telling the judge, like, yo, he is something, he's a piece of work, that kid.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, he was a menace to that community because it seems like he was known by law enforcement and had no regard for authority, being the judge. You don't plead your case or try to state your case in front of the judge right off. So, I agree. We should stay connected to this story.
Yeah, I will stay connected. All right, let's go ahead and roll into the last story. I don't think it was a deal. I think it was really over the girl, Increase Matters. I really do. I think it was over that girl, and that girl, she ought to be ashamed of herself. But she locked up now. All right, let's go here. Southwest airline pilot, I'm a hero. I didn't fail sobriety tests. So a Southwest Airlines pilot who cops say failed multiple field sobriety tests minutes before he was supposed to fly is denying doing so, despite being arrested on the jet bridge. David Alsop, a 52-year-old pilot that has been flying with Southwest for 20 years. Imagine how many flights he allegedly flown under the influence. Tells TMZ in a statement through his attorney, David, that the body cam video of his arrest shows the obvious, that he committed no crime. Okay, let's take a look.
It was a tremendous shock. It was a blow to my heart. The legacy of Hulk Hogan.
He was a wrestling star. He was a movie star.
The stories you've never heard.
We tried to camouflage it.
From those who knew him best.
I really miss him. And if I dwell on it, I can get really, really sad.
TMZ presents The Real Hulk Hogan. Stream on Hulu now.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. How are you?
You doing okay?
Yeah, fine.
When was the last time you had something to drink?
Last night.
About how many hours ago?
Like 10 hours ago, at least.
How many drinks did you have?
A few beers.
Sure. Define a few beers.
A few beers.
Define a few beers.
Like 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you drink?
Light beer. No light.
No light?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Who are you with?
My AFO.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you be willing to provide field sobriety with me right now?
No.
Why not?
There's no need.
Well, I can smell an odor consistent with an alcoholic beverage.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
These.
What is that?
Rose.
Do you have any fresh ones that haven't been in your mouth?
Yeah. Right in my bag.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
You may begin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Did you turn around and go the other way?
1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Begin.
1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000, 11, 1,000, 12, 1,000, 13, 1,000, 14, 1,000, 15, 1,000, 16, 1,000.
Okay, you can stop. You have your right. You said no. So based off that alone, and based off the field sobriety that you,
Even if I gave you blood, then nothing would change,
okay,
right?
that is your willful choice that you are willing to make, but based off the calls that we received stating that people down in TSA could smell what smelled like alcohol coming off of your breath, and they're not trained. I am trained in odor and alcohol impairment.
That's fine. I mean, nothing's going to change your mind.
I didn't even talk to TSA today. I went to KCM.
It's operated by TSA.
Right. Okay. So, all right, I'll get my stuff. Like, what are we gonna do?
So you just stand face away from me. Okay. Before you sit down, just raise your hands right there. All right, go ahead and wash your hands again.
Now, I don't know what to think, but we'll talk about it. He also claims experts has revealed the footage and determined officers implementing the field sobriety test that did so without following proper procedures. He adds these procedures are in place for reasons to prevent mistakes like this one. Shaken also praises his client as an American hero, reminding people he served his country for over a decade flying combat missions and special operation missions for the U.S. Air Force. You can see in the body cam video we published that Alsop admitted to the police he had 3 Miller Lights before the flight, but said they were consumed 10 hours before the incident. When the officer mentioned he smelled something consistent with alcohol, Alsop blamed it on his nicotine pouches. Anyway, the pilot ended up being arrested and did not get in the cockpit of the plane. He was reportedly charged with a DUI. Listen, from the video, I don't know. They say he failed the test. They did the test. I didn't. I guess he failed. Savannah, your thoughts?
Diva, I agree with you. When I saw that video, I didn't perceive him to be under the influence of alcohol. And the FAA reg is 8 hours before their next scheduled flight. They are allowed to have alcohol. So there has to be an 8-hour span before their next scheduled flight. But it doesn't say how many. It just says that their alcohol level has to be at 0.04. So if they consume an excessive amount, then their alcohol level has to be at 0.04 before and or 8 hour span before their next flight. But this, this pilot here, he's a veteran. He has 20 years of flying time under his belt. Plus, he's a veteran as well. So I know he knows the rules. I mean, nobody, especially our crew, not only the flight crew, but the pilot and co-pilot, they're the most important people on a plane, because they have the safety and well-being of every living human being that's on that vessel. So I don't know. When I saw this this past week, this video, I didn't perceive him. I didn't see him shiny or sweaty or slurring his words. So maybe he did smell it like alcohol. I've smelled some flight crew before that has smelled like alcohol.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I have. On United, I have smelled them. But again, here we go with alcohol and concerns about what is the right level of, or how many drinks should you have before you board a plane, whether it's a passenger or an attendant, and let alone the pilot, who is one of the most important people on the plane. So I don't know if I was confused by this story. I didn't believe that he was. Maybe he smelled of it, but he didn't look like he was drunk to me.
Yeah, but you know what though? In terms of that, I will say not his arrest though. I will say it's better safe than be sorry, but he got arrested. And I think that hence is problematic, right? If he really wasn't drunk. Let's just but he didn't want to take a blood test though. So I don't know. It's sketchy. Let's just listen.
Please see on WJCL 22 News. Savannah Airport police releasing the body camera and surveillance video from the arrest of a Southwest Airlines pilot. He allegedly tried to fly drunk back in January. WJCL 22 News investigator Andy Cole reports the new video sheds light on a curious request the airline made to police.
It started as a normal day for Southwest Airlines pilot David Alsop. Just before 6 a.m., he walked into the Savannah International Airport and went through security. But something was off with Alsop, and TSA noticed.
Is one of your Leos running? I want to check the pilot or something. I call on this stuff.
This call into airport police happened around the same time Alsop boarded the aircraft. As he and the first officer were doing pre-flight checks in the cockpit, officers arrived and pulled him from the plane.
You doing okay?
Yeah, fine.
When was the last time you had something to drink?
Last night,
About how many hours ago?
like 10 hours ago, at least.
Alsop tells the cops he had a few light beers. They ask,
Would you be willing to provide field sobriety with me right now?
No.
Why not?
There's no need.
Well, I can smell an odor consistent with an alcoholic beverage.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Please.
Alsop explains to the officers that the smell might be his nicotine gum. He goes back into the cockpit to grab it for them, and the other officer gets a whiff of the pilot himself. Captain Alsop eventually underwent those field sobriety tests, but body cam shows he failed 2 of the 3. Airport police asked him for a blood draw, the only way to fully prove his innocence or guilt.
Even if I gave you blood, then nothing would change.
Okay.
Right?
That is your willful choice that you were willing to make.
With that, the officers had no other choice but to escort him out of the airport. It'd be the last time Alsop would leave with his wings. But it wasn't over.
I was told that we're supposed to take control of him, if that makes sense.
The what?
The word that he's got to be released to us.
Okay.
Because we're bringing in our own drug and alcohol team.
Southwest Airlines employees tried to take Alsop into their own custody. Body cam video shows the employees asking police to wait until they can conduct their own drug and alcohol tests for their own investigation. But airport police, brought into a phone conversation, shut that down quick.
No, man, we can't. We have to do our job by the state of Georgia first.
We asked Southwest Airlines why they would try and take Captain Alsop back into their own custody. They told us due to legal and personnel issues, they couldn't get into details. Criminal charges against Alsop remain pending. At the Savannah International Airport, I'm Andy Cole, WJCL 22 News.
Okay, so that was better for us. More information. He failed 2 of the tests. And with our eyes just seeing it, it didn't look like that. But they said he failed 2 of the tests. Plus, he didn't want to give a blood test. No, and he was reeking of alcohol. So something in the water wasn't clean. Thank God he didn't get to fly to people. I hope the plane still went off as scheduled and they found somebody to replace him. And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Southwest knows about his little drinking problem. And that's why they tried to get the cops to let them have him in the custody versus them taking him into custody. They tried to save him. Wayne, your thoughts?
You know, my thing is that with this kind of job, for example, if you had to have heart surgery tomorrow morning and your cardiologist is out living it up the day before, do you want him operating on you?
No.
So my thing is that you're a pilot. I don't think it should be no need to be drinking anytime when you're on. When I say duty, I don't mean because you go someplace, you stay overnight, and people say, "Oh, what they do on that time is their business." But I think during that flight period, if you're going to be however, drink on your day off. So he didn't look impaired to me. I would never know the difference. But obviously, if he's reeking of alcohol, it wasn't 10 hours ago. You got up and showered and all that. You wouldn't smell no alcohol. So I think he was kind of not being honest, saying he had 3 Millers 10 hours ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, you shouldn't have had no Millers 10 hours ago, knowing you got to fly the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sure, you feel don't feel impaired or whatever. Obviously, they found something in their test. I don't know, but I just don't see the need to have to consume, you know, alcohol during a period of, you know, that you're going to be out there. Wait till you get off. That's it.
Yeah. Katrina, your thoughts?
Diva, I don't know if I got a lot of sound bite or not, but the thing I don't understand is, well, I'm glad he wants flying Spirit, because I'm practicing the proper mobile Spirit. Nothing funny, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to bring a little humor. But it gets to me where, why don't these people monitor these alcohol, all the drinks that they give these people, or unless he just came in like that? Because they would take away your Victoria's Secret perfume, but they still let you drink before you get on a plane. Make sense. Because I'm mad about my stuff being taken away, which I put it on the wrong bag. But anyway, I'm just saying, they get these people drink and drink and drink. They don't monitor them because they can go from bar to bar to bar. And then, Les, I know that the planes, they go on.
I lost sound. Can y'all still hear Katrina? Because I can't.
No.
Okay. Diva, can you hear me?
Now I can. You going in and out, Katrina. I think we got a bad connection. So type your thoughts in the chat because it was getting good. But listen.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
No, it's not good, Katrina. All right. So listen, guys. We're gonna stay connected to these stories, especially the one with the teen. It's a super sad. Trey Wright lost his life, only 16, over some girl. Tragic, very sad. And now all of these teens, all of their lives are destroyed. And like the guy said, for what? The mayor of New Orleans, you did it to yourself, girlfriend. And it's sad. Now you got a whole criminal case because you want to sneak around with some man. I would never, I haven't met one yet that I'm going to lose my whole livelihood over that person. And I hope to never meet a person like that. No, I'm good. Jeopardizing my livelihood. Lying, cheating, and stealing. Just a mess. And you of all people know Riot, Florida is no joke, these federal crimes. And then this pilot, at first when I saw the video, but then when you get more information and they say he failed 2 of the tests, he was tipsy. And especially because he didn't want to take a blood test. Because to me, if you accuse me of something, I know it ain't true, tap the veins. Because then I'm going to be mad and probably, sue all of y'all. Thinking I'm drunk and accuse me of being drunk. Tap my veins. But if you can't walk a straight line and you're not passing the test, problematic. But listen, guys, y'all know the routine. If you ain't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody. Choo-choo.
Choo-choo.